Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Euro Trade. I'm Marcus Dokadi, and welcome. Let's see what we have this morning. Now, I have been messing around with Topstep API, so today I'm going to be just kind of testing whether this works on combines, and I'm so far working with a couple of pieces of code, couple of strategies, and working on some more. So we'll see how that works. I've been down the rabbit hole of coding again, and I'm easily losing days where I'm just sitting there, and then you gotta code and code, and then before you know it, we lose a day. You're like, what happened? It's 10 o'clock. What is going on? So yeah, it's pretty exciting. How's everyone doing? So it is Wednesday, short week, but is it the NFP week? Let me just see what we have on the calendar. So, because I've been down the rabbit hole of coding, yeah, so it is NFP week. Those tend to be a little bit odd. They tend to be sometimes super quiet. Now, we are in September where everybody's coming back, and usually we see proper increase in liquidity and movement about the second week of September. So, yeah. Skylar Cole is asking, Dee, can you do some reviewing of stats? How could we do that? Maybe if you're in Discord, because that's the only way you can share. Because you can't. I don't think you can share links if you're not one of the moderators. But yeah, I mean, maybe we can try that. Now Discord. Let me. I've never really done it that way. Usually, if somebody gives me stats, it will be through either the VIP or in the Discord chat. So maybe we can because obviously if I go, yeah, everybody DM me, it's gonna be like, so that might get a little bit much. But yeah, I mean, I could do some stat reviews. I would probably better do the strategy reviews, maybe a mental check of triggers reviews rather than just your sheer stats, because every time you're looking at stats, there's only a limited availability of information that I can tell you. I can tell you whether it's too many trades, whether you are using the correct balance between the hit rate and the actual risk reward, right? Because they're not isolated components, they are a part of the same thing. So Bruno says that you can give the link in the YouTube chat. I mean, yeah, let's try that. Maybe we can try posting links, see whether that's going to be. I was under the impression, again, I'm not Topstep support or anything, but I was under the impression that you can't really share links easily. But yeah, let's try it. Maybe we can try it, and that way we can keep it fairly sensible. Lenka says, "Are you guys awake at 4:30 and trading? We have 10:33 in EU. Well, it's 9:30." In the UK, so a little bit earlier. Yeah, so Skylar, let's try it. Let's see if you can post the link, and then we can discuss. Joe is here. Welcome. Good to see you. So you see Joseph Anthony in the chat. He's going to be with me on Lunchbox Trading later today, so that should be exciting. Hello from France. Hello from Surrey in England. Beautiful England. Very rainy today. Hardeep is joining us as well. Morning, Hardeep. Good to see you. Omar is saying to Lanka it's 3:36 a.m. and he's got work. So, wow, that's early, man. That's very early. See, the only way I was doing nighttime is when I was a musician, but that's not getting up at 3. That's like staying awake, waking up, sort of in the afternoon and then just staying awake through the night. That's actually kind of my preferred time zone. Desmond said Dakota does it by allowing dashboard stats link posts to his Discord. Yeah, exactly. But I think so. Here's the thing. Dakota was already a coach before the VIP, so he actually has his own channel where he discusses stuff and everything. If you've been here for a hot minute, I didn't actually become a Topstep coach until this year, season 2, right? So I have my own coaching service, and I've been doing that since 2019. But I'm not really that keen on like Discord in general. So I personally don't have a Discord. I have a portal where we kind of have threads, and then I'm talking to my gold members primarily in there. But it's very sort of selective, and I never have more than about 7 people in there, just to keep everything clean and so that I can give my time equally to each trader. Otherwise, what's the point, right? But yeah, let's try sharing links here, and then we can do some stats. Omar says, I like your streams. 10 out of 10 plus these markets are quiet, which I like. Okay. I don't like quiet markets, I'll be honest. I really don't. I do not like quiet markets. That's actually one of my mental triggers, when the markets are like just not doing anything, and I'm just sitting there trying to find something. And tape reading when the markets are quiet is not a thing, because there's nothing to read. There's no obvious liquidity areas, there's no there's no movement, there's no volume, there's no indication of supply and demand acting, and it's just like you're like, what am I looking at? So yeah, that's definitely one of my. I like smooth products. That's very different than liking quiet markets. Smooth products meaning that once they decide on the direction, there is a dedicated follow through. This is why I stick with things like copper, gold, natural gas, RBOB, and recently heating oil as well. Heating oil is very thin, so trading it on live is a bit tricky, because if you have a look at, but it's a great product though. If you look at how the dome is, it's very patchy. It actually populates a little bit more for the NYMEX session, because the heating oil during this time is just a snooze fest. But yeah, even during NYMEX, this is not too far off. So, if you want to trade 15 lots, the only way you're going to be able to do that is trading in SIM. Similar with platinum, right? If you want to trade with size, you want to trade 30, 40 contracts, well, you're going to take the majority of the order book. Causing some spikes. And actually one time I was trading RBOB sort of after the settlement, and I saw that it was pretty quiet. But I was like, I'm gonna put in 2 RBOBs, and I did it. So that wasn't too much of a jump, but then it moved and I took it off, and it immediately took out a few, because it was kind of like this. It was like one contract to the right and another one on the bit, and when I executed my trade, it jumped over the contracts that weren't there and tried to find some counter parties, because that they have to do order matching, and it just jumped over, and I was like, whoops. Only 2 contracts. But it was after hours. So, you have to understand the live trading, especially these thin markets. It's a little bit different in life. You tend to have a bit more effect. In NQ, if you whack in like 50 lots during regular trading hours, you're barely going to have any effect on the market. You're going to be visible on Bookmap and time and sales, but, you're probably not going to move too much. And if you do it in ES, nobody's going to care. Like, it's not going to move much. So, yeah. Hardeep is saying, hey D, I'm using data loss limit of 1,000 on this account. Had one payout and since the end of April 2024. In 16 months, it's my first XFA that I completed for 11 days, locked up for the day. Out of 11 days, 7 days are green, 4 days are red on the 1,000 data loss limit. That is so lovely to hear, Hardeep. Obviously, you've been here when we ran the Neuro Wednesdays, and you clearly have been working on yourself. It's amazing. So these moments when you hear that people have changed something and starting to all come together, that is the reason to share your knowledge, share your experience, and if it helps one person, amazing, right? I'm so pleased to hear that. Now, Hardeep, another thing that you may want to look into is what is your average of your winning days that you now have. And obviously, it's still a very small sample size because it's an XFA. It's a different, it's a different game because you're now working under high pressure environment, and it's great. But out of the 7 winners, what is the average winning day? And usually, what I like to do is to use that as your custom daily loss limit. So rather than just plopping in $1,000 and then having that whole risk model not really working with so here's the thing. You have win rate on a daily basis, like trade by trade. What is your win rate? That's one piece of the equation. But then there's this other one. How many days can you remain profitable? That's what you should be looking at for prop challenges. It's definitely a different type of a metric, because if somebody has like 80% accuracy on the days when everything's working, but for some reason they cannot string together like at least 3 or 4 days when they have no losses, and they're constantly DLL, then 1 day up, then DLL, then 1 day up, then DLL. That actually reduces the hit rate on a day-to-day basis. Does that make sense? Okay, so you have the micro intraday stuff that you're doing, but how many days can you actually string together to be profitable? And then if you're looking at a sample size of a month, 2, 3, 6 months, what is your hit rate on a day-to-day basis? What is that? Are you 50% profitable on the number of days? 30%? Can you maybe work with 60%? Because 60% profitability on the number of days is actually really good. It means that you, out of the 10, 6 days are up, and then maybe you on average have 4 that are losers, right? So think of all of these, they're risk models, right? So everybody's so obsessed on the intraday accuracy and say, I've got 80%, I've got 75, I've got 40%, and it's like, yeah, but what are you doing on a day-to-day basis? Because somebody who has like 40% accuracy with a positive risk reward that can string together like 2 weeks without losses, or even just like, 10 days without losses, is actually a better thing than somebody who has 80% accuracy on the day, but when they are down the daily loss limit, that happens a lot. So really on a day-per-day basis, you're looking at, I don't know, maybe 20 or 30% of profitable days. That's never going to work, right? It's never going to work because it's a form of a negative risk reward. So just like you're looking at a per-trade basis, look at everything on a per-day basis as well. So hopefully that will help. Yeah, so if you want to share stats, now it's a good thing I'm on a combine here doing my whole thing. Where is it? I think it's in the performance stats. Okay, so if you go into performance stats, click on share. So now you need to get this switched on, and then copy that link, and then copy it into the chat. yeah. And then let's do some stats. Let's do some stats. I'm glad that Coach T is telling me always have reasonable expectations with your trading and know that you can only get out of this what you put in. Thank you. Risk management, patience, and discipline will bring success in your trading journey. Very motivational. I find it quite funny. Like there was one time when I only traded from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. in one of the combines, and it said it appears that your the best time of day to trade is from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. Try to focus on it. Like that's the only data you have, so it does make me chuckle. It does make me chuckle. All right, while we're waiting for some stats to come in. Yeah, Hardeep is saying, I never used data loss limit since Topstep removed it. So after green days, only one red day was killing my accounts, and because I didn't have a risk limit. Yeah. Look, not having the data loss limit is a positive in an XFA for the reason that you can manage your growing balance better. Now, I know that they've done that recently on the live accounts as well. However, I still think that it's a little bit difficult when you get into the live and then you have the same 3K loss. I mean, I kind of feel like we're sort of back in 2016 where, you know, a daily loss limit was just 3K without, like, doesn't matter whether you're starting with, you know, 20K or whether you're starting with like 400K balance. And I'm glad that they've made that scalable, but there is definitely a bit of a tricky situation when you get into live and you're like, oh, okay, loss limit. So it's actually better to set that mindset that, you know, you have to have a data loss limit. It's like a non-negotiable. And to me, it should always be, depending, like the bigger the balance, the less really should be the DLL for in relation to the percentage of the account balance. But let's just say, you know, if you are starting out with a, you know, 5% daily loss limit, the more that grows, I would actually try to aim it to get it down to 2%. And that should be like the maximum, because once you've racked up, you know, a ton of cash, you really want to hold on to it. Oh, my Z Fold has an update. I might run an update here. Cedric says, blow 150K XFA to build 20K after 5 months in 1 month. Oh, you blew 150K XFA that I built to 20K after 5 months in 1 month. Was upset with my risk management. Try to learn from this experience. Bruno is asking whether we're going to be on air on Friday. I don't think this Friday, but there are some changes. I'm just so here's the thing. We're going to have a new time slot for the Eurotrade. Why? Because these. So we spoke with the team. I spoke with someone from the team, and we were kind of talking about the fact that these sessions were meant to be for DAX. Now, we didn't get DAX, we know that. And clearly, the next session that opens is actually the London Metal Exchange, and that opens at 11:40. So I was like, well, why don't we move the Eurotrade closer to that? So I'm still waiting for confirmation, so this is not like 100%. So from next week, it is very possible that you're going to find Eurotrade later in the day. So we're going to be starting at 11 a.m. UK time, which is it 5 p.m. Central? Or is that Eastern? I never know. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, I think it's 5 a.m. Central. So it's going to be a slightly later time slot, and it's going to be easier for many different reasons. Obviously, in this time slot, everybody who's in the States is asleep, but we have some early birds that do get up around 6 a.m., 5 a.m. So it will be easier for me to bring in guests, but also the LME. Like I very, 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 very rarely try to trade copper and platinum and everything on my live, and I don't like to trade those for this time slot. I really don't. I always traded DAX for this time slot. So naturally we were talking about it. How can we make this better? What needs to change? And it's not 100% yet, but there's probably about an 80% chance that we're going to be moving Euro trade to a new time slot from next week, and adding Friday as well. So it's going to be Monday to Friday, but I don't think it's going to be from this week, Bruno. So, yeah. What is the ticker GCZ25? It's gold, December 2025. When DAX? I don't know. I don't know whether we're going to get DAX. It's on the list. Like, it's on the list, but, you know, you've seen it's been a long time now, right? So I wouldn't hold my breath for that to come anytime soon. When it comes, it comes. It's fine. We can trade that. But I would not bank on having DAX anytime soon. So let's continue. Sorry. I mean, you know, I'm obviously as disappointed as you are, but it is what it is, man. So, no, we cannot trade DAX. They don't have Eurex yet. Oh, okay. So, Skylar says that they keep sharing the link. I'm not seeing it, though. Yeah, you see, Bruno, I don't think they can share. We can share links. We can share links. I don't think they can. Because then we will be spammed by a whole bunch of people with links, yeah? So I don't think that's gonna... D is telling me 5 a.m. Eastern. No, it will be 6 a.m. Eastern. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, it will be 6 a.m. Eastern, 5 a.m. Central, because it's 11 over here. Jason Williams says, hi D, does the London Metal Exchange affect gold much? It does. It is actually one of the, not one of the largest metal exchange, and very important in metals pricing still to this day. Here's the thing. They closed for COVID for nearly 2 years. And everybody thought that was the end of open outcry metals trading. It was the last, and it is still one of the last open outcry pits in the world. Everywhere else, open outcry is no longer a thing. And like I said, they closed for COVID, and there was talks of never reopening it. But then, I don't know for what reason, they opened it. However, we now have the LME Select, which is an electronic version of the orders that are coming through. So because of that, it's still a very, very important metal exchange, and you will see the volumes they kick up around about that time. So so let's have a look. Now COMEX is still massive on gold, but if you look on copper, let's go up to, I don't know why I'm on 30 ticks here, and let's go to HG. So if you look at how copper is moving for, let's go back. It kind of has a little bit of movement, then gets stuck. So here is my time slot, right? This is 9:30. So it has this like range, and then you get to the slight increase about 90 minutes into the LME, and then the combined volume of LME and the COMEX just kicks everything up. So you will typically start seeing the livening up, so quiet, a little bit more, and then increase, COMEX and LME trading together, right? So it's they're still coming back from holidays, so maybe this is not the best time of the year. You know, September. You're hearing my poor Cavalier. He's got a pretty serious heart condition, and he just came into the room and he's coughing a lot more. I'm actually considering whether, I don't know whether I should be doing that, but there is a tier procedure for dogs. But he is like literally turning 13 on 11th of September, so I don't know if I should be doing surgeries for him. Certainly a worry, obviously. I don't know whether he's going to be with us for much longer. Okay, I'm trying to go back to, I don't know whether it's going to let me for this contract, but just going back to the time of the year before the vacations and the summertime. Is this too patchy? I don't know. Let's have a look. Just doing a little, visual examination of what's happening. Yeah, so similar sort of pattern. So the reversals that you will see in copper, in gold, takeouts of the overnight highs or overnight lows, typically starts to trickle in around, let's say, midday. So, the initial balance can be, for LME, I consider it about 40 minutes. And then usually I look for fake outs around Asia high and low, nearly in all of the metals. That's kind of the case. And then you have another one. So here, okay, so May, this is when London Metal Exchange was really trading last May. So you get this little shakeout. Then again, the weirdness from 9:30, and then kick up in volume. What's the time? 11:30 candle. Why? Because 11:40 is when the LME opens. So by me starting these streams and moving them to effectively half an hour before LME starts, we can actually look at the LME open and get involved in this nice increase of volatility. And really I would be looking for this to come back, this behavior. So, Asia can move it, but as soon as LME starts, you typically see these shakeouts and reversal setups, and then usually they can last all day on copper. Gold can have little wobble, and let me see, is this this would be the euro close. Here's the wobble, right? So if I make this massive, euro close wobble. Wobble. Sometimes euro close can bring a reversal, but not on copper. Copper, it's not that great for reversals for that time of day, but it will definitely cause you some trouble. So if you try to do a breakout trade into the euro close, you're likely to get stuck with a drawdown. So yeah. But yeah, I'm still waiting for a confirmation. So like I said, it's about 80% that we're going to be moving to the new time slot. And I will let you know, and I'm sure that Topstep is going to be telling everybody that we'll be moving. So yeah. Omar says, I'm hungry, but it's too dark to make food, but my stomach is burning right now. Can you like just, if you can eat cheese, can you just like stuff some cheese? Because that's like protein and fat. And it's quite satiating. That's what I usually do. I'm like, oh my God, I'm starving. And I just have some feta cheese and just keep going. Omar says, I still remember forcing myself to learn volume profile. I guess it isn't for me. So here's the thing. I don't like volume profile. I do look at it for large time frames, but it's not like my main orientation or anything. But TPO profile for me has a lot more information inside it. So it has the initial balance. You can see single prints a lot better. You can see the failed auctions better because it's related to the initial balance rather than any old sort of volume curve. So it's very time based. And I know that some people don't like time. It really depends on your style. To me, time is, in anything I do, almost the primary condition. It's like, yeah, you have breakouts, but what is the time? That's why I came up with the concept that time of day is a level, or time of day as a level, right? Like Euro close, what do we expect? A little wobble back the other way, whatever the day has done. The strategy, right? How big the move is, it's a matter of context, but, you know. Yeah, Bruno, I don't think it's gonna work. There's a reason why Dakota does it through Discord, so let's maybe change that. Right. So how can we do this? Okay, Skylar, so maybe if you ping me, if you have Discord, this is gonna be like a can of worms. Coach D, yes. How do I don't, you see, I don't use Discord that much. Obviously, I'm using it for the VIP, but I'm just like, so I'm like, how do I actually find, what is my actual username? Because I can see my like nickname, which is Coach Deeyana, but you know, I don't want, I'm 100% sure we got scammers because people have told me. And I want you guys to have the right information, and I don't know how to do that. It's like, so how would I, is that it? No, nothing happens when I God. This is where Granny D is in session. Cannot use Discord. So Bruno, what? Oh right, okay, you're doing it right. Okay, yes, this is why we have moderators. Bruno, you're a star. Thank you. Okay, so. Okay, that took me to the actual. Oh, I'll get this Discord someday. So that took me to Discord. Now, can I go into TopstepTV? Here we go. Okay. All right. I am in the TopstepTV channel. So Bruno, if you want to chuck some, or if people want to chuck that, the stats. So Skylar, go into TopstepTV, Discord. Okay, I think I see it. Yes, I do see it. Okay, let's have a look. So this is Skylar. This is an XFA. Okay. So let's first see how many days of a sample size we're working with. Oh, 3 days. Okay, not a great sample size. Okay, so obviously good numbers. We've had some big days. Let me guess, you trade NQ. So a lot of trades though. A lot of trades. Like is this like to me that's a crazy amount of work. So let's see what was happening here. All right, yeah, it's an NQ trader. Okay, that's to be expected. So I'm seeing like durations of like 10 seconds. Like I don't know why, like especially let's say yesterday, right? Let's have a look at NQ chart. So yesterday, I don't like people doing more work than they need to, right? Because if you're trading live, the actual you know, the actual commissions will eat you up, like doing 200 trades a day, yeah? So let's have a look. Yeah, so it was a single direction day down, right? And then we had the initial balance that sort of hit VWAP. And actually, I was looking at ES. ES actually hit VWAP and never managed to get above it. So there's definitely like a big big difference there. So let's see. I want to know, you were on the, which side were you on? A long, a lot of longs. Okay, what time? This time of day, I'm guessing this is your time of day, Skylar. What time zone are you in, just so I can orient myself? So I'm going to wait until you respond. And then, yeah. So then we have some minor losses. I mean, it was so many trades though. Oh my God. And then, look, so inconsistency with positioning. So you do well. So you build up a little bit of cushion. So everything's going fine. What did you start off? This is the other way. Okay, so you start off, couple of winners, then string of losers, right? Then a couple of winners again. So these are good hold times. I like the 20 minutes hold time. But the winners are big. Okay, so here's something that I don't like seeing. So the winners are bigger because you sized up. That's an optimization. So what would your P&L do? Every time you change position size, you change something. So was there a decent reason why you would change it so drastically? Because this is an increase from 1 to like 4, 3, 5. That's like 300 to 500 time increase from what you started with on the day. You know? So that's going to come to bite you on the days when that doesn't work out. So obviously you've had 3 days, very, very small sample size, and we've had some movement. And in fact, I would say we've had outlier days where the movement was fairly single directional and had some follow through for a full hour or 2 or 3 hours, 4 hours. But yeah, so this to me is not the best thing to do on the day. Like obviously you're up, but I'm just worried that on the days when you don't end up, you're going to derail your accounts. I do not like to see 300 to 500 size increase all in the same day. So, especially, you know, coming after a couple of losers here. You are quick to cut losses, but you're also quick to cut winners. So, and then again, size increase. Then we go back down to 1 again. So what is the reason for the size shift? Is there a reason for the size change? Because that's a huge position size change. It's like, or are you scaling out? I don't know. You're in EST. Okay. So yeah. And let's have a look at this day. This was holiday. Nothing happening, but you know, you kind of pulled things together. Let's have a look at this day. All right, so we have a bit of drama in the P&L. I'm looking at this at a very granular way because you only have 3 days, right? So just want to see how you do things. So M and Q on this day, that would be a lot more sensible for the beginning of the XFA. And again, a lot of trading, you know, a lot of trading. Especially over the number of hours that you trade. So you start at 4 a.m. Okay, this was only through for like 3 hours, so that's not too bad. But the other one had like started at 4 and then kept going. Is this in my time or in your time? I don't know. So now I'm confused. Does anybody know? Does anybody know whether the stats share the time zone that's connected to the trader's account, or whether they change? That's a question, isn't it? Pi is asking, is Wednesday, where's Jerome? Jerome did some unethical practices on the trading side of things, and he is sadly no longer with us. So yeah, I don't know why the reason for so many trades, because looking at the chart, like yesterday, we had effectively one move down until the open, then the second move down, third move, and then the final, as I call it, the day range fill pump. So the way I trade, I try to take the chunks of the time of day, rather than kind of taking a little bit here, 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 and getting hit with like a bunch of commissions, which gets very painful. Like you can do this on an XFA, because I don't think we have commissions on XFA, but in the live, doing 200 round turns per day, it gets incredibly expensive, and that's per contract. It gets very expensive. So, you know, you have to look at that side of things. But the, you know, for the 3 days, we have 3 good days, but I'm not a fan of you sizing up to full NQ and then going to 5 NQs on the day from micros, because you can obviously make $2,000 on micros, and I just think that your risk of ruin on days when it doesn't go well and we don't have that much movement and it's not single direction where you can just ride it out, I just think that the inconsistency in sizing, you know, 300 to 500, and if we actually compare the sizing from the previous day when you were on M&Q, you sized up like not 300, but you sized up 3,000% from the previous day. Is that sustainable? I don't think so. Okay, I'm being very straightforward. You're obviously able to generate profits, but I don't want to see XFAs with just 3 days. I want to see XFAs of a full month's worth of trading. Okay? Because 3 days means nothing. Like I can have 100% in 3 days, and I have done that. But over the long term, for 12 years, I've had a 43% accuracy over all of the good days, bad days, everything. It's the bad days that you want to focus on, because those are the ones that can teach you what needs to be improved, rather than the ones where everything works and it's amazing and it's like, wow, I'm the best thing since sliced bread. So yeah, I would say bigger sample size. Watch the positioning, because I think this is way too inconsistent. It's like up and down, up and down. Like if you came to a prop firm back in the days and you're like, this is my, you know, this is my track record, they would just be like, what the hell are you doing? It's like, what? So you're starting off an account with 5 NQs and you have, you know, 4.5K drawdown, 6.5, and you go up to 5 NQs. So I don't think that that's very consistent. And I think the inconsistency on the days when it doesn't go well, it's going to come to bite you. But the numbers are good for now. for the very small sample size, right? Can you maintain the trade win? You know, I like the positive risk reward. That's great. Can you maintain the accuracy versus this risk reward? If you can, then you've got something. You've got a career in the making. Just really stop with the. There are 7 days. 7 days? Oh, 7 days. Okay. Let's have a look at the rest of it. 7 days. Again, a month is really 20 to 40 days, ideally, in a sample size minimum. So, okay, so let me ask you this. So now that I went to the other three. So here you're doing 18, 50. It's still a lot of trading. But, like, this is actually really acceptable to me. The 18 trades and 2K up. Is there any particular reason why you just went to suddenly 200 trades per day? And again, you are using, on this day, all just one NQ. There's no change in positioning. That's great. You know? And then, let's take a look at this day. Still, one time you went to 3, and that was a loss. But all the other times, you stuck with 1. Just stick with 1. You can make, obviously you can make 9 grand with just 1. Like, you know, I just think that risk of ruin goes so high. So high. Let's have a look at this one. This is MNQ. So, any particular reason why we go down to MNQ? Because that's position change as well. And do you just stay with that? Oh, you traded some GC as well, but MNQ. Okay, I like that. Because you were splitting your... I will say, though, the P&L is more consistent here. On the days you traded gold. So MNQ was not a great day here. But gold, you made all your money on... most of your money on gold here. Do you like trading gold? Because I would be, you know, more focusing on that. Because an NQ does a lot of drama and stuff. So, yeah. So overall, I mean, you're obviously seeing the market pretty well. But again, I would like to see you tighten up that positioning, first and foremost. And to make sure you're not like jumping from, you know, 1 MNQ to 5 NQ to MNQ again and then 3, and it's a little bit messy on the positioning. So tighten that up, because you can obviously bank, right? So just try doing 1 as a maximum default position, and see whether that will tighten up your profit and loss curve even more, right? Because we want to have as less drama. But yeah, your numbers look great for the 7 days. Let's see what happens after 20 days. I'm, you know, really excited to watch this. Just try maybe to keep it to 50 trades per day. You know, 200 trades and 100 trades. I think that's a lot of work. A lot of work, especially on days when we're trending. Yeah, just keep in mind the commissions. So yeah, good job. You know, obviously you're seeing the market well. Just watch your positioning. That's all I have to say for now. And we'll see how that all looks after a month worth of sample size. And then hopefully 2 and 3 and 6. And then, yeah, we'll see. All right, let's have a look. NM14 says, D, that shows your time zone. Okay, thank you for that. Cedric says, love the way we can manage these things on Topstep X. Risk setting. Okay. Yeah, if anyone else wants a little bit of a stat thing. Like I said, today I'm just mainly working on getting the code up and running. Still need to just deal with how long the loop is going to run for. Because right now I have it set to like 60 seconds because I want to make sure that I can like catch it and not if it starts to do something weird that it doesn't derail the combine that I'm going to be testing this on. But yeah, so Ab says, why do I have a harder time trading gold than NQ? I can't figure out gold for the life of me. Because gold, it takes time for it to make the real movement, and especially if you're trading it during the COMEX, like initial balance. Typically, they are push-pull during that time, like a tug-of-war between the market makers. And then once that's over, the true sort of trend, if there is going to be one, appears. So people who come from trading NQ to trading gold can sometimes struggle with the fact that you don't get rewarded for it immediately. It's not that kind of a trade. Gold rewards you when you stay in on the trend that you identify, and then it just keeps going on those days, and it's beautiful. But NQ has trained some people to want these quick profits and to not be able to sit on the trades for a very long time because of the nature of its movement. So that's good for people who want to scalp, but I'm of the opinion that NQ is not a good choice for about 90% of the traders that are trading it, because what they're looking for is just quick profits. They're not looking for delayed gratification, less work, and more money via the sitting on trades for like 2-3 hours and getting like a bazillion ticks. So, you know, the NQ price action is so fast-paced that it's going to scare most people out of a good trending move, because it's not like, oh, it goes up. It wicks up and down and wicks up and down and eventually haphazardly goes in one direction, but haphazardly meaning like wicks on both sides. That makes it extremely difficult to stay in. Even when I traded NQ, I had 0.8 to maximum 1.3 R on all of my, like I very rarely held NQ to like 2 R and 3 R. It was always just, you know, hit and run, and then I would just take my profits and go do something else. But I don't like it these days. You know, I'm a little bit older. You know, we're talking like 5, 6, 7 years ago. And I've hit my mid-40s now, and my brain definitely doesn't work as fast. I want as less stress in my life as possible. So, yeah. Yeah, so Skylar, good stats. Let's see what you do with the XFA in the next month. I really love seeing how people can maintain profits, or maybe do something that improves the process, maybe getting the same amount of cash for less trades. I would be very excited to see that. So not 200 and 100 trades, but like keep it between 20 and maybe 50, because you know you seem to be okay with that. I also think that the platform might be sometimes counting the scale-ins and scale-outs. So I don't know how many of those were scale-ins and scale-outs. But yeah, for the core number of trades, I really don't like seeing people going over about 20, because, you know, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Gherkin says, you look younger. Yes, I know. When I was in my 20s, I looked 12, which wasn't a good look. Certainly couldn't buy wine. Even though I was like, when I was 27, 28, I would go to buy wine, wouldn't bring my driver's license or anything. Because over here in the UK, we don't have ID. We just have like passport or driver's license. And most people don't even carry ID because it's not a requirement. But yeah, I always had to have something. And I remember quite a few times when I didn't bring anything. I went in, picked up a bottle of rosé, went to the checkout, and they're like, you wouldn't happen to have any ID on you? And I'm like, no, sorry, yeah, I can't. And I was like, are you joking? Like, are you joking? What's going on here? Okay, so we have Hardeep. Yes, Hardeep. Sorry, getting distracted here. All right, let's have a look at Hardeep's overall stats. Now, what I'm going to do, because I missed Skylar's previous month stats, I'm going to do this, so to make sure all of them are in there. All right, just off the bat, is this Hardeep? Yeah. Positive expectancy, but okay, so here's the thing, 62% and almost a 1-to-1. That's not bad, but it's not particularly stable, because the cutoff point for 1-to-1 is 56%. Okay, so to be a break-even trader, right? So if you can somehow either improve, like it's either or, right? So you either improve the average win to be over 1, not by much, you would need like 1.2, whilst maintaining the accuracy that you have. That will make it more stable. What I'm seeing here right now is that it's kind of walking on thin ice. So if either of these changes, if your accuracy goes down and your average win rate stays sub 1-to-1, you're going to start bleeding money. So from that point of view, I would like to see more stability there. Let's have a look on the per day basis, and let's actually do your average stop loss. So you're keeping it to 1,000, because that's something that you've been doing. That's excellent. But let's see, out of all of these winning days, is 1,000 the correct stop loss? So I'm just going to be doing the calculator. So so that's 3. I'm just using round numbers. We don't have to be super exact here. And then we have 1160 and 2025. Okay. And now how many days are we working with? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. Okay. Okay, so this one actually says that you could probably even increase the stop loss a little bit, the daily loss limit, but keep it to 1,000 for now, because you seem to be able to to generate profits in this situation. So yeah, I mean, keep it up. I like what I'm seeing here. Just like I said, if you can just try to eke out like 1.1 or 1.2 to improve this average win versus average loss. Otherwise, great job, Hardeep. I love what I'm seeing here. Trades per day. So not too many. You're fairly consistent between sort of 10 and 30 trades. So I like that. Consistency over positioning. Okay, we're jumping from 5 to 10. Is this scale in, scale outs? Probably scale in and scale out, but can't be sure. Yeah, so positioning, just I don't know whether these were, so tell me whether these were scale in or scale outs, or what was it like you're trading kind of 5 micros are going to take 10. 2 days are closed early for payout. Yeah, that's great. Drinky says, why do people obsess about being conservative with prop firm accounts when each one is basically a stop loss equal to the cost of the account? Because if you're full porting it, your risk of ruin on the actual account that you're supposed to be making money out of is in the billions. So there will be no payouts because you will be going through the boom and bust cycle. But you do you, mate. So, you know. And also that mindset, oh yeah, well, I've just spent $50. Who gives a shit, right? That mindset has brought people into debt of between 20K to 40K because they go to other firms that where you can buy 1,000,000 accounts per cycle, and then they spend 3 to 5K on super cheap products, and then they blow all of them up. So now you have nothing because you had that mindset of, oh, I've just spent the eval money. It's not real money. It reminds me of of a story that I actually heard from James from the CEO of Trade Day. So we did a podcast together. So he's a great guy. He comes from the floor. And he was saying, or was it Steve? One of them told me the story about a man in the green robe. So he goes to Vegas. He's with his wife. They're in a hotel room. He puts on his green robe and he goes, oh, I'm just going to, go out and get some ice. So he goes down into the casino area and he just starts, putting on a little bit of money on the roulette table. So he ends up doing pretty well. So he makes 10K, then 20K, then 50K. But the initial money that he started off with was like $300, right? That's all that he risked. And then he got lucky, and he started racking up. So by the end of it, at one point of the night, he's up like $1 million, right? Now remember, his wife is up in the room, just sleeping. And he's up to 1 million. But luck runs out and he starts to bleed money. In the end, he loses the entire $1 million and the $300 that he initially risked. So he goes up to the room, back to his wife, and she goes, oh, you were gone, quite a while. Where were you? And he goes, oh, I just went down to the tables, and put a couple of bets on. Oh, so how did it go? Oh, I lost $300. Yeah, so that's the kind of mindset. So he was up $1 million, but in his head, I only lost $300. That wasn't real money because it was never in my pocket, right? That's the kind of mindset that people have with prop firm evals and the cost. It's a bad mindset because you had the $1 million. You could have taken it. You could have stopped. You could have stopped at 500,000. You could have stopped. But no, you derail the entire account because in your head, I've only spent 50 on this, right? So be careful of a bad mindset like that. It's not a good mindset. Everybody's trying to skip over the fact that you need consistency in order to be profitable long term. But if you're full porting it, that's gambling. That's like you would just go to a casino. You would have a better chance of having more fun, because this is a miserable way to win and lose, or to lose money, because you feel like a complete a-hole when you're doing wrong things on the day, right? Whereas when you're in a casino and you're just like, oh yeah, whatever, I'm having a drink, having a bit of fun, there's some hot chicks around, it's like there's entertainment, there's whatever. It's a better experience than sitting by yourself all alone, caffeinated to your eyeballs, and then trying to trade NQ, and NQ just smacked you right across the face, and then you're like, oh, that was very stressful. And then you sit at night staring at your ceiling, wondering how you're going to explain to your wife that you could have gotten a payout, but you blew the entire account that you've been, like, come on, man. It's if you're going to have a casino mindset, go to a casino. Go to a casino. It's a much better experience. It's got ambiance. It's got, a lot of people are dressed up. Even though when we got married in Vegas in 2015, there was there's like a darker side to Vegas, right? There was this woman, because back then, I don't know whether it's still the case, but you could still smoke in where the slot machines are. And there was this lady who was maybe in her, I don't know, she looked like she was in her 70s, but she could have been younger. all she was doing is she was like smoking away. Like her posture was terrible. She was like this, like kind of looked like some kind of a witch. And all she was doing is just like smoking. And she was there for like 6 hours, man. 6 full hours. So we went to, to another hotel. We came back. We were in Aria. We were staying in Aria, one of the penthouses. And it was just so sad, you go and do stuff, you come back and she's still there. And then you have these like homeless people who obviously came to Vegas to make it big or whatever, and then it didn't quite work out. So yeah. And then there's the glamorous side of everybody just walking around in crazy frocks, and no one cares. There's limos everywhere. It's an interesting place. I know that a few people live there, and there's a residential area, but the strip is quite a story. It's kind of like if you go to Oxford Street or somewhere, that is not like the true representation of what London is. I find that the strip is kind of the same thing. You have the residential area, which is lovely, and there's families and stuff, but the strip is just so so crazy. Drink is asking, so how large a size do you generally recommend for prop firm trading? That would be heavily dependent on the experience of the trader. It would be dependent on your individual hit rate and risk-reward balance, how many days you can string together without losing. It's not a one-size-fits-all, but if you're starting, like if you're somebody who has not found consistency yet, I would divide the daily loss limit, maximum loss limit that they give you, by 10. So that becomes your daily loss limit. Whatever trading you do, you need to fit it into that. As the account grows and as you're learning more about yourself, you can begin to change that. Okay, so once you get to, I was telling to my VIPs last night in chat that I like to split the evals into 3 phases. Phase 1 is when you're doing tight DLL to make sure you don't dig a deep hole in the beginning of the challenge or an XFA. Then once you build it up to a third of the way to profits, then you increase size both on the DLL and the position size by only a third. Obviously, if you're trading 1 micro, that's not possible, so you have to go double. And you have to maybe give yourself a little bit of a bigger leash, just slightly, maybe like go from 200 to 300 DLL, and then go to, the final stage when you're reaching the profit targets. Obviously, if you're doing 150K, you can work with 450 daily loss limit to begin with, and then adjust it appropriately as you get through the challenge. It's a 3-phase process. It's not, remember, I come from the days when you couldn't even get funded unless you had like 10 full trading days. And I still think that's a better way than what we're doing today. It's like, oh, F it, it's only $30. So I'm just gonna, full port it. And then you buy another $30, and then another $30, and then once you're there, once you passed, you think that you're gonna stop doing that crap, but you don't, do you? Most of you don't. And then you just find yourself in the same boom and bust cycle, only now you have to pay activation fees as well. So the costs mount up, but you're doing the same thing. Why? Because you've trained your brain that it's okay to do that in an eval, to do that in a practice account. It's just not, it's not how you find consistency. But for me, I typically start off reasonably small. With me, meaning small doesn't necessarily mean going to micros. I start with 1 trade per day that is a star setup on 1 mini at the correct time of day when I know that I have the stats and algos to back that up with. So that will be my approach. It might not work for everyone because you might not know what your star setup looks like, and also you may not be able to generate anywhere from 50 to 160 ticks per trade, which is what I look for, okay? So that would be my approach, to generate that first day with a star setup, not with a number of trades, but one mini, one trade at the right time of day for the right setup, and then you have a cushion. So to me, it's always quality over quantity, but you know, everybody's different. So yeah. Hardeep says, hey Dee, and another thing, I work a 12-hour shift night and busy with family. I always trade from my phone. I never trade from a desktop or laptop. So what kind, like, if you don't mind me asking, what kind of work do you do? Can you use a laptop at work? Because that would be preferable to trading from your phone. I always hate trading from phones. I can manage a trade from my phone, but I would never actually trade just from my phone, because first of all, I can't see squat, right? And second of all, the analysis that you're doing on your phone is probably subpar. So Hardeep, I reckon if you can, maybe use a laptop. But again, I don't know what kind of work you do. So some offices are a bit weird with, or if you have Google Remote Desktop, you can kind of sneak that into the browser. T being sneaky here. You can remote desktop into your own computer at home in a web browser. And then you can, look like you're doing something and quickly like change. Am I being sneaky? Because that's what I used to do when I went to learn how to do IT recruitment, because I had to work in an office. And then if I was running a trade, I would just quickly remote desktop in through Chrome Remote. Not that my boss then cared. He was very cool. He was a very cool dude. Obviously, he was the boss, so he knew I was a trader, and I actually partially got the job because of my trading experience. That's what I was doing. I was doing IT recruitment. So yeah, it was actually quite an eye-opening experience to learn how to find candidates that are better for my own purpose, for my companies. But yeah. Jason Williamson says, hey Dee, could you please run through what indicators you're using and how? Well, I created a whole methodology with that, but if you notice, these are my charting indicators. I'm going to change this to black because every time I bring my white charts, people are like, Dee, you're a psychopath. What is that? Like, nobody likes like white charts apart from us old timers. So let's go green on black. There we go. And I'm also going to change the amp skin so that it's all dark. There you go. It's all dark. You happy now? Yeah, so these are the indicators that I actually have, and they are from my own company. So full disclosure, yes, I run multiple companies and software development for trading, and algos is one of them. And this is what we do. So the main thing that I have on the chart here is a TPO profile. I have the ADR, Blatic DR, in this section that shows me the session ranges for each session that I look at. I have the overall 24-hour daily range. This is copper. So we're basically saying currently for the day, we're running at 125 ticks. The largest session at the moment is I think I actually did this for the LME. It has 205 ticks space. The oscillator is the Fisher transform, which I find better than any kind of RSI. The volumes are Blatic Beta volumes. They show me when there's volume churn. So a lot of volume, but price not quite doing things. And then I have multi-time frame supply and demand indicator that shows me, this is a very large time frame, so this is daily chart. Then I have the 4-hour time frame, or this might be 2 hours. And then I have current time frame, supply and demand. The thing that you see on here, that's the same information on here, but it's a graphical representation of the TPO profile without the letters. If I want to see the letters, I can just have a look at them here on the right hand side. And then I have a very nifty feature of the backtest directly on the charts. So I have my ADR lines as well. So if I go backwards in time, if I could turn back time, a bit of share here, you will see how all of those levels reacted, right? Without, it doesn't erase candles, but it really shows you can actually easily change between the different sessions. So all of that is something that I needed as a trader, and nobody had it. They had clunky backtesting software that never used like actual indicators that I wanted to use. And then to get the indicator to actually print real time based on historical data and tick data that I had, nobody was doing that. So I was like, can we do that? So I paid somebody to do it for me. And then we ended up going into business together. So now we have the Blatek company indicators. So yeah. So those are my indicators. I use Blatek DR for average ranges. Not that you can't do all of this yourself, but for me, I need to have my process completely down to like just a few clicks on the chart, rather than spend 4 hours trying to pull all of this data myself, which is what I did in the beginning. So I have a very good understanding of how all of that works. I just got sick and tired of using Excel spreadsheets. I'm not a natural numbers person, despite what I do these days. I love numbers, but I'm not, like, if somebody is assaulting me with just numbers that have no purpose, I lose interest really, really quickly. When the numbers have purpose and I want to figure out what's going on, I love numbers. And I do rely on my photographic memory quite a bit. Which is, you know, it's my superpower. Is it a cop-out? It is, because some of the things that I know, I only know because I can recall them in my brain. Not because I have, like, you know, some great maths ability, because I do not. I have a great understanding of how things work, but just don't ask me to do equations with two unknowns. Or, you know what's worse? Textual, logical assignments. You know, the ones that if train is running 20 miles an hour and it goes from A to B, how long is it going to... I just, like, at the point of the text going, if we have this thing doing that thing, I just check out. Like, immediately I just check out. And it just goes over my head. I don't want to know. I don't want to know where the train is going. I don't want to know. But that's just me, you know. So my huge weakness was the textual, logical things and geometry. I cannot do geometry for the life of me. Could be something to do with me being left-handed. I don't know, but it's actually genetic, because my sister and my mother also suck at geometry. All three of us are just totally useless. So I think that's on Mom. She gave us the bad geometry genes. Joe says, first time I have seen a coded look back like that. Very useful. Yeah, we're the only ones who have it still, because it's our proprietary way of doing things. So yeah. But yeah, so that's my indicator: supply and demand, market profile, daily ranges and session ranges, and Fisher transform for like an oscillator, and that's it. It's very simple. Very simple. Each part serves a particular purpose. My sister is in the chat. She says, if train A is going for 20 miles per 20 kilometers per hour. How many cookies can you eat in 10 minutes? Yeah. Yeah, it's like dog mass. If you have 2 biscuits and you give both of them to my Rimmer bear, how many fingers will you have in the end? You're going to lose a finger because it's very snappy. Yeah. And what stop loss do I use? I think that was also a question. It really depends on the product I trade. It depends on the market volatility. So my stops are scaled and adjusted to the volatility of the market. So sometimes I will use 35 ticks. Other times I will use 110 ticks. That was the case with Trump tariffs. And even I couldn't believe it. I was like, okay, well, it says I should be using 110 ticks on DAX. Let's try that. And then DAX, and I was like, there is no way that I can get like 2 or 3 R. Like that'd be 240 ticks. Like what? But I was like, I'm going to trust the method. I'm going to trust the method. So I sized down, popped in 110 stop loss, went to make a coffee, and I come back, the trade is not there. And I'm like, blink, 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 blink. And it hit target of 320 ticks. So I was like, okay, Black Swan event time. I've seen this story before. Can you say COVID? So yeah, it was the same thing during COVID. I increased my stops and my targets to reflect the increase in volatility, and they were just getting reached in like 5-10 minutes. It was crazy. I loved it. But we don't have that now. So now I'm back down to using 36 ticks for copper. Gold I still use between 70 and 80 ticks, and on some setups, if I want to give it a little bit of time, it's 100 ticks as well, because gold still runs for like 400 or 500 ticks on the day. So if I want to capture that, unless it's like some kind of an outlier setup where I find that I can really snipe it from like a break of Asia high or low. Usually it requires at least 70 ticks, otherwise I find I get wicked out with the way I trade. It's not, we're all different. Just because I do things a certain way and I teach other people how to do it my way, it doesn't mean that it's the only way, by no means. So, but yeah. Anyways, let's see what gold has done. Nothing. But on the other side, we have a very well-defined Asia high. And reasonably well-defined Asia low, but it's a slow day. It's a very slow, tight Asia range. Yeah, that's. I mean, it might be good. It might be good. Is this a distribution? I don't know. But yeah, what I'm gonna be doing after this stream is to mess around with my code. So I'm going to be seeing whether I can actually execute an order properly, whether the order management is working, whether it's doing it at the right time of day, whether my time windows are being picked up correctly, and how the orders are updating. So that's going to be my life again. Can we take a look at oil this morning? Joe says, dump earlier. How does that fit time frame wise? So I don't really have any setups and playbooks for this time of day. My playbooks for crude oil in our time zone, Joe, is after 3 p.m. reversals. If we don't get a reversal, it will be a case of some kind of a gap fill situation where we kind of go to value or something. So let me just pull up crude oil because it's not really on my radar much these days because of the ranges are very, very tight. So I don't really like it that much. Let's see what we have for COMEX. So for COMEX, the value area is at 65 evens. That's value low. Value high 65.75. Do we have any news that have just hit? So that's the first thing. Not seeing anything. Yeah, not seeing any headline risks. So this is probably just a shakeout pre-market maybe, or the news is running late. I don't know. So we'll see. Today is Wednesday, and usually we would have the inventories, but I think they might be tomorrow because of the holiday. Yeah, so crude oil inventories and natural gas storage are tomorrow. Natural gas storage is usually on the Thursdays anyways, so that's at normal time 3:30. But the crude oil inventories have been moved for 5 p.m. UK time tomorrow. So no inventories today. And that's usually normal on holiday weeks. They move it one day forward. So crude oil, what do I see? Let's start with the daily chart. Where are we on the daily chart? Daily chart, kind of finding a little bit of a pullback from the 50% of the previous move. Could be creating a new supply, could be doing the same thing that it did here, reversal, then slow crawl upside. We're coming into the time of the year where crude oil will liven up a bit, although I did wait for it to liven up last year from February, and then it never came. But if you're looking for connected instruments, look at RBOB, look at heating oil, because those two are derivatives of crude, and they are more liquid. So comparatively to crude oil, RBOB has about 400 or 500 ticks of daily range, whereas crude oil only has 100 ticks per day. So same outlook, just bigger ranges. So it's kind of like ES versus NQ, right? I call RBOB the NQ of the energies because of that. So I will use crude oil chart to analyze sort of the basics, and then I will look for entries and making sure that the divergence is not too out of whack on the day as well. You've done divergences, Joe, so you know what I'm talking about. And it's the same thing with those three products. There is actually a crack spread, which I always laugh about. CRK is the actual name, and it is basically a spread trade between crude oil, RBOB, and heating oil in a very particular ratio. So I think there's 3-to-1 ratio, there's 5-3-2. Don't quote me on that, but there is a very particular ratio. I've never traded crack spreads. I know people who have. In fact, our risk manager Brett, he came from that background, and it's obviously to do with the fact that crude oil is the raw product, the raw commodity, that then gets processed into gasoline and heating oil. So as a result, all three of them are very, very connected. So yeah, I do my crude oil analysis. Let's have a look at crude oil options levels, because those tend to be generally helpful for everybody involved. And I'm going to have a look at mental Q to see whether we are in negative or positive gamma. And I actually just did a video on my own channel last week about how to, just the basics of looking at the options levels and how they can possibly help you to figure out what's going on the day. Let's just open this. All right, so crude oil futures, end of day yesterday, we are in a positive gamma environment for now, which means that it's not a direction. Okay, let me just put that out there, because I've had a couple of questions since. They're like, oh, so if we're in negative gamma, does that mean we're going down? And I'm like, no, it's just a, it's just a measure of, volatility. So it's not a directional thing. So if we're in positive gamma, all that means is that market makers will attempt to hedge against certain open interest prices. So they will be effectively going against these moves. So if we take that into consideration, we do, and anything can change in the blink of an eye. If Trump comes out with some news about Ukraine and Russia, that is going to instantly change immediately. But what we have at the moment, we have the projected implied volatility to the downside right here at 64.33. If that manages to slow down and give us a little bit of a bounce, that will mean that the market makers will be hedging against it. So something drops relatively sharply. You expect the GEX level with the open interest to act as support. So whatever you run into, that should act as support in a positive gamma environment. Now we do have some minor other GEX levels lower down at GEX 6, 64 evens is the price. And we are still kind of sitting above the HVL from the higher sort of longer dated expirations, not longer, but like weekly expirations. And the 0 DTEs, a little bit of a conflicting information because the HVL for that, we're below it. So it's kind of like jammed in between 63.50 and 65.50. If I had to put my, sort of gun to the head, where do you think crude oil is going to be today? It's probably going to be contained between 63.50 and 66. So, maybe not all on today's movement. We have GEX 2 and 3, which could be stabilizers. So if we see a rise in prices, then I would expect the zone between 65 and 65.30 to give us some sort of a reversal again. And then if something changes and gamma goes negative, I would actually expect us to bleed through all of these and go into a single direction down day. But we do need some kind of a catalyst for that to happen. I see plenty of space. I can see plenty of space down towards the demand level on the larger time frame. So we have 4-hour chart showing us 63.80 as the potential stopping point. And then on the daily chart, we have a bit of a messy situation. Not really liking these inside bars, but this could be something called the supply and demand compression, where something keeps going up, but in a haphazard way, and then creating these. If I can delete some of these levels, I'll be able to show you, because I always have so much stuff from the old days. So we have drops down, creates the demand, pops into it, moves away from it. Pops into it again, creates another demand. What does that create? Unclean arrival. So now we're kind of sitting in this unclean arrival, the dirty arrival. And if this is supply and demand compression, I would expect one day to slice through all of it. So it compresses, chews up demand, and then it just goes whoosh. So we'll see what happens. From the daily chart, let me see what my oscillator is doing. Nothing really much to read there. It's not really oversold, not overbought. Like, I only use Fisher Transform on the big time frames when we're supposedly turning around. I have my own levels for it. That is not zero, and we're not going above zero. That's more for stocks. I have a different way of using it on futures, which just kind of popped up as an interesting coincidence whenever I was looking at larger time frame analysis. But yeah, so yeah, we could be going down. I'm always short bias crude. So again, if you were asking me, D, what do you want to do with crude oil today, I would say pull back to 65 at the very least, but I would entertain it pulling back all the way to 66 as well, maybe even 66.50 if it goes a little bit nuts to the upside. And then at the right time of day, either after 3 p.m. our time, Joe, or into the euro close would be time zone 1, so sort of 90-minute period to figure out if we're having the failed auction of some sort, or an auction fade if we have extended to that side. If it just keeps falling, I don't want it. I'm not going to be hunting it by breakout trades. No. Because crude oil is one of those instruments where you think you're in a trending move. And then it just turns around and smacks you right across the face. And you're like, why did I do a breakout? The only time I do breakouts is if we have a potential for a value area gap fill. So we open outside of value to the upside because it's crude oil. And then if it starts to just break ferociously to one side, I will look for a crossover between VWAP and moving average on a 5-minute chart. And then also looking for the subsequent breakout of the initial bounce. So well, I will actually be in on those a little bit earlier. So yeah, that's it for today. I think we're going to finish it here, guys, because I'm going to go and mess around with code. I need to be ready for lunchbox trading later on today with Joe. So you will see me a little bit more to chat some stuff about the markets. I don't know whether I'll find a live trade today. I kind of want to move my process to the coding side of things because I do enjoy that quite a bit. But yeah, let's see what the day brings. What the day brings. On the way out, if you found any value in the stuff that I've been yapping about, I would appreciate it if you click the button for the thumbs up. So click the like. If you're not subscribed and you just randomly stumbled onto this stream, subscribe to the Topstep channel, and also maybe, just maybe, you might want to check out my YouTube channel as well, which Topstep have kindly put down in the description box. You'll also find my Twitter there. I am very, very random on Twitter. I very rarely post anything related. I mean, not rarely. I do post, but I don't like social media, so that's why I don't really do much on there. But I have some pretty fun YouTube videos that explain complex concepts, and I attempt to break them down into something a little bit less scary. And now I have a new studio, so hopefully I will be able to do a lot more of that. Anyways, I have a problem signing off live streams, in case you haven't noticed. That's all from me today. This was the Euro Trade. I'm Mark Stoker D, and I will see you a little bit later. Take care.